Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. This is our first Technique Wednesday for the month of September, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of different things. So it's not so much about the actual card that I make, but how I came about coloring the leaves and the different ways you can color different things and using the DSP and that kind of thing. So we're using Thoughtful Journey, not on this card, but on some of the other cards. It's beautiful paper. Very, I mean, you can make it anything, but some of them are specifically fallish. I think I use, let's see, one of the back pages, this one. And then we're using, this is all part of a suite, but you don't obviously have to have the suite. We're using Changing Leaves dies. We're using an embossing folder, Changing Leaves, and it's a hybrid, and I'll tell you what that means later. And then the Changing Leaves stamps, primarily these three. I'm also using a little note to brighten your day as the sentiment, as you can see here. And then I use some bling, of course. So just to take care of business, if you are following me on YouTube and you want this is not going to be a project sheet this time, it's going to be a technique sheet, just kind of listing the different things that we did for coloring. But that is over on my website at stampmesilly.com. If you have any questions or if you want a free catalog and you don't have a demonstrator, you can email me at jandufour@yahoo.com. If there's anything that you see here that you want to purchase, you can go ahead and go to my online store at jandufour.stampinup.net. All right, and this is the card that we'll end up making somewhere along the way. But I'm going to put that aside because, again, it's all about how did I color all of these things. Okay, so the first couple of things we're going to do for coloring are what I consider the easier methods. Things I learned early on in stamping, and it's very not complicated. I have two stamps on here. I am using a stamp positioner. It's by Misty. It's the medium-sized one, and I think in another video I explained why I prefer this size over the others, but it does work. It's not my favorite. My Stamparatus is my favorite. I will say it till the day I die, but it's no longer available. All right, so I'm basically just stamping it in one color, as you can see there. Now, different ways to get color. One, you can use a blending brush. This is not the first way I learned to do it, but it does work very nicely. And you just kind of brush on some where you think you would like it. And it can always be, you can always add more. So I would always start with less and go ahead and stamp that. And as you can see, you have a subtle change. And then if you wanted it to be a little bit more, this one was using Cajun Craze. I started with Daffodil Delight. You could add a cherry cobbler. And I would just go and maybe get a few more tips. And as you can see, I'm just kind of slapping it on there. No rhyme or reason. But this is how you get 3 different colors. The red doesn't show up very much, the cherry cobbler. So I'm going to be more adventurous with the cherry cobbler. Let's see if we can't get a little bit more red. See, as I told you, as long as you have it in the positioner, you can do this multiple times. And there's a little bit more red. I think with the Cajun Craze, it kind of mutes the red, but as you can see, there's still lots of color in there, and that's really cool. All right, so the other way to do it, we're going to ignore that one for right now. And I'm just going to take a marker, not an alcohol marker. This is one of our dye-based Stampin' Right markers. I'm going to take the brush end, and I'm going to be not so perfect and just kind of add a little bit of color, and I'm trying not to make it real obviously where it ends, but sometimes that's harder. I don't worry about it too much. We're just gonna go ahead and put that on there. And as you can see, we get some defined color. So that's two ways that you can go ahead and color some pretty things. Another way you can do it, we'll leave that on there. We can take a piece of cardstock and I'm just going to put it in the center for right now. Before we even get to what I call overstamping, which is to stamp in the detail portion, I'm going to go ahead and start blending color all over this. See what we get. I need more of that. There's not enough yellow on there. So, and when I put my blending brushes to this, when we stamp, we tend to go to the center all the time, so there's less ink there. I go to the outside edges because that's where the ink is. And then I'm just gonna bring some of that in here, move some more up here, and then I guess I'll do maybe a little Cajun Craze. And on the ends there. And move that up in there. Get it all up in color. And then if I wanted to, I could put a little bit of green on there. I don't recommend that you put more than 4 colors. It's going to start to look like mud unless you don't actually do a lot of overlapping. So I'm going to put this back here. And this time, let me quickly clean this off so we can get a... In another video, I showed how I made these. This one's wet, and then this one is dry. All right. I tend to make a lot of things. I hack a lot of things just because they want $25 for that, and I made it for like $3. So anyway, I digress. Sorry. So here we go. We're gonna just stamp it, and obviously it's a much darker color, especially this one because it's a solid. That's okay. We're going to put it over this beautiful paper that we have colored. And look how beautiful. Now, if I had put these in a nice arrangement order, I could use this just as it is. I intended to cut it out. And what you get are things that look like, this is one, and this is one that have been colored, stamped, and cut out. So they make very pretty things. All right, so that's it for that type of coloring. Whoops. I just stuck myself with a marker. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do is, let's see, that takes care of all of these. I wanna make sure I don't miss out. You can always, oh yeah, I got one more before I break away and collect myself. You can also use some of our DSP. As you can see here, I cut something out. But if you wanted to stamp, let me see if that's the best side for this. Oh, I think I'll do this. You can use your DSP that's already colored for you. We'll stamp it again and do it right on the DSP. Now, I haven't done anything to the DSP. It's just the way it comes. And doesn't that make it magical because it's very quick? And then if you die cut this out, or again, just use that as a focal point. I probably would have rearranged where this went, maybe into here. But anyway, suffice it to say, as you can see, it's colored and it's beautiful. All right, I'll be back in just a second. I'm back. And as you know, I am a proponent of using templates. And what I mean by that is that I create a template by cutting out the die cut. And then I just cut out a bunch of white dies, and then I would put this in my stamp positioner, and actually what I call loading is put it in there, and once I've arranged these to be this way, you can stamp them rather quickly. The only problem with this particular die is it's got the 3 stamps together, which is real convenient if you want all 3 of the stamps. It is not convenient when you want 3 or 4 of the same one. So I abandoned that and decided to go ahead and just you can still use the blanks. So what I did is, for example, let me find some that are like that. Okay, so I did a couple of things. This, if you can tell, comes from that DSP that I was using. So I just went ahead and cut those out. And then I used one of the ones that I had created myself with the blending brushes to make it pretty. And I used another technique, if you will. And I saw this, I've seen it several times, several places. I had never really tried it myself because I usually use the template and it works great. That was not the case with this one. So I thought, well, let me try this. So basically they stamp up or put ink on it. And then they, which one do I want? This one, I guess. And then they line it up. And if you line up just a couple of them, and then use the second block to push it down, it actually stamps on it. And it does a pretty decent job. I'll do another one because that one is a little bit off. And I think after practicing a couple of times, you could probably this has got a little skinny tail, so if it's off, it really shows. But I think I would just put it down like that. Press it down, peel it off. Oh yeah. And that comes out just as good as when you, it has a little bit of the color along the side. But that ends up being just as, I'll do one more, just as useful, or works just as well. Again, if you're just doing one or two, it doesn't really matter. You can just, go ahead and stamp it. This is perfect. You can go ahead and stamp it like I did this one, and then just position the die to cut it out, and then cut it out if you're only doing one or two. But I was trying to do a whole bunch of leaves in a whole bunch of different ways. So that's just another way that you can get a really good die cut, and it's rather simple. So we'll put that over here, get rid of these. The next one is really exciting to me because they were brilliant. I have still not to this day seen any other stamps company do this. It's really an awesome idea. So let me get rid of this. So they make what they call a hybrid embossing folder. And what that means is it's made so that you can put the die cut in the hybrid folder or not. So if you do not use this, this becomes just a regular embossing folder that makes incredibly beautiful detailed. I even like it on the debossed side, which is the side that's in there. You could cut it at 3 inches. It would make a lovely card. Just with, of course, you would have to cut it this way and a little bit this way. But if you cut it at 3 inches and put it on your card, then you'll end up making 2 of them. And it cuts quite nicely this way. So that's just plain embossing. But the magic happens when you put this and you put the Stampin' Up! Logo and you fit this. And you just slide it around until it clicks. It will just settle in. I can't see it with my overhead light. There we go. It'll settle in and not move. It's not going anywhere, okay? So it's in the right spot. And then you put a piece of DSP, which I'm going to just use regular cardstock because I've already gotten rid of all my pretty DSP that I pulled out, apparently. So we'll just do this. I'm just going to put down this and pull it down. Now the sandwich for this type is number 1, and it shows you a picture right here. So it's a number 1 and then number 4, and I'll run it through off camera. You can still hear me and hear my cranking, but my my Stamp Cut and Emboss is off on a little roller table. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. And looky, looky, looky. You get pieces which you could probably cut out if you wanted to. They're just not part of the deal. And here are the three. I'm just going to lift them up so you can see. Look how detailed they are. Even in white, they're beautiful. And at this point, if you wanted to, I'll probably ruin it, but I'll go ahead and show you. If you were a little careful, get this guy off. Come on. He really wanted to stay because he was deeply embossed. You could go ahead and give it some color afterwards or before or during. It's up to you. And it just makes it so pretty. All right, so that is the magic folder. Of course, you don't have to use that all the time. And let me get rid of this and show you again what these look like when they're embossed and cut out all at the same time. And that's using DSP. Of course, you can absolutely make your own DSP by doing some coloring like this and then going ahead and putting it in there to cut. So with all of that, we have some beautiful pieces that we can put together. I'm just going to throw a few of them out. There's also extra dies in the set that just cut out, not stamped pieces. They're just individuals. And let's see, let's try one of these yellow ones. These are all ones I was playing with. And we'll go ahead and see what size is this. I'll have to cut this down. We'll make this, we'll sort of make the same card, although I don't know if it'll come out exactly the same because I don't know that I have the exact same pieces, but that's okay. Do this by 5 1/4. Oh, yep, 5 1/4 it is. All right. And then we'll get a card. It's not even scored, but that's all right. We can fake that real well. And then make sure this is the right size before I get too excited. Yep. All right. So we can just start building. I really like this one because it's so pretty, which is not using the one I thought I was going to use. This would be another good one to use because it does have some of it, but I love this. The embossing is just so pretty. And I'm trying to simulate a little bit the original card that I made. Again, it's not going to be exact because we're using different elements and things are made differently. We can, the fun thing about making all of these pieces is that you can kind of just play with them later. So I'm going with that, with the sentiment, which I haven't showed you how I've made yet. Now I need glue. These are embossed, so I tend to put, not a lot of glue, but I tend to put more glue than usual because I want it to get inside the little crannies, if you will, that are there. So I'm putting that down. And then, do I like this one better? No, I like this one better. Yeah. I think that's my favorite. Is it my favorite? I have so many to choose from. I think I'll go this way. All right. This one doesn't have any crannies, so it doesn't really need much. And I'm just sticking that in there. If those end up showing, I can always cut them off after. I do want some of this, the delicate ones. Let me see if I can get that up underneath. Oh, I can even cut them with little snips. And I'll have 2. Isn't that good? Oh, I need to cut off the tails. There we go. Do you see that I have a messy desk? You should have seen me when I was making all these pieces. It was ridiculous. I'm going to lift this just a little bit because I want it in a little bit further. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue right there because it's not going anywhere. Got pieces stuck. Am I done? I don't know. Let me see. Where is, okay. So now we have to make our sentiment. I'm not sure I'm done that yet, but we'll put it aside. Now in this particular case, I'm using the smaller Misty because I tried both of them and I ended up keeping it. When you do it this way, I'll show you. I cut out, and that's my template. And I have these for lots and lots of different ones that I use particularly frequently. This is the die cut that comes with it. And I went ahead and I die cut a bunch of sentiment ones because I can use different sentiments. So how you do that is you put that there. And at this point, I usually do use a magnet, but I don't have one handy. So we're just going to go with it. And then you put, well, wait, let me back up. You put this down and then you decide if that's going to be in the right spot. I usually stamp it once so that I can look and see, and there was no ink on it. But I can look and see and make sure that it's straight, that it's in the position that I want. And then I go ahead and there is a right side and a wrong side. Let me see if you can see this. There's an embossed line all the way around, and then the little, I don't know, dots that are cut out. They're little slashes, actually. Then I just slide it in there so that it's stuck. I used Cajun Craze, which is the color of the background. And make sure that's up in the corner. And you can make these very quickly. You can make a bunch of different ones, but then you get it. It's perfectly straight. It's where you want it. And that is a good way to use a template. Okay, now we're back to our card. I'm going to go ahead and ink this down. Glue this down. And if you get two, you get them all. I'm also going to, because I did not do that beforehand. There we go. It's nice and flat. Now, I'm going to be putting this somewhere here. I'm just going to lay it down. It will be elevated. So I have to decide, do I want another leaf in there? Maybe one down here or up here. Oh, no, I don't like that. Oh, that's not bad. I like that. Okay, so in that case, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom. All right, let me see where this is going. So we're going to put it right about there. And it will lift a little bit because I didn't put glue on the other end purposely. And that just gives it a little bit of dimension. And I'm safe to do that because I'm going to be adding this on top of, oops, that one's not cut, on top of it, so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to do 4 just because it's long and I want it to hold down everything. I'm going to take them off. My desk area, what you can't see is even worse, but it is trashed. So I'll be spending some time cleaning up. All right, now I did put this off center intentionally so that I could put, I like it there, so that I could put a gem on there because of course you have to have a gem, right? Always. And I picked, I had a whole bunch of different ones that would look fine with it, but I went ahead and picked Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. And I'm going to use my Take Pick tool. Use this. And I'm going to put it, oops, right side up would be better. There we go. Right there. And I think I actually put some different ones around. I did. I added some. You should always do it in odd numbers. So I did 3. I'll take a little white one and just stick it there. And maybe a little green one just for fun. 2, well, oops, that's my French coming out. I said whale. All right, there we go. And there is your card. Now, for each one of these individual pieces, it did take me a little bit of time, but that's because, I'll just show you so you can laugh at me. I have all of these leaves and more just waiting for me to make things. I've got so many of these. So I will be making lots more cards. But to get this done, it took one embossing, cutting out a couple of die cuts, stamping this, and actually it didn't take long to make the actual card itself. I hope you enjoyed this technique class. I'll be doing more of those this month. If you have any questions, again, you can email me at jandu4@yahoo.com. Go to my blog for the technique piece of paper if you're on YouTube. Consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. It helps my channel out. Doesn't cost you anything. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment and I always reply. And make sure that you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.